Thank you for watching Houston Volleyball Network. Graham Wren.
Kevin Knight.
We're here to bring you the Atlantic region's top 5 players from 2021. It's been a bit of a hiatus since we filmed. Not a lot's been going on, unfortunately, but we're ready to bring in the new year with reviewing the previous year, and then hopefully we'll have some tournaments to make some content about pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm thinking some Florida ones are coming up in the next few months. They're normally the kind of first on the list, and then we're waiting to see what Valleys does. So
it's true.
But I guess we're looking. That's for the future. I guess we're looking in reverse this time around. So what are you thinking for top 5 from our region?
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and start. I'll go ahead and start by giving you the players in my top 5. Do you want me to go 1 through 5, or you want me to go 5 to 1?
I think we go 1 to 5 because
everyone knows that Angel's getting number 1, obviously.
Yeah.
Every tournament that we go to, Angel's the top dog to beat. He's the one that everyone's gunning for. Angel also had some really strong. I think I'd say bordering on. He was the only player from the region who had really, really strong performances outside of the region on sand.
I agree.
He made, by virtue of winning, the Atlantic City AVP Next, he was in the main draw for Manhattan Beach Open. Had a strong performance, I believe, at the Chicago qualifier. Had some very strong performances at a lot of AVP Next. I think Wapaka took a 5th.
Yep.
New Orleans took a 9th. I remember him taking another 5th at another AVP Next as well.
Maybe Seaside or no. I don't remember what it was. But
I don't know. You can ask Angel for his finishes.
Yeah, he's the guy that you show up to a tournament with, and everybody's kind of got him in their head as like the guy that they don't want to see, and definitely is a rival for anyone trying to win any big events around here. So it's pretty obvious that he's earned his number 1 spot for good reason, and we're. A number of us are going to try to dethrone him next year, but we'll see. Yeah,
we shall see. All right, number 2, and the battle for number 2 was very closely contested, but I did end up drawing a line between the two, and I'm going to give Nick Drucker the number 2 spot.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's hear about this.
Yeah, so Nick had a stretch alongside Brett Rosenmeyer.
Yeah, he did.
Through the spring and into summer, where he was, they were untouchable. I think they won like 5 in a row.
Yeah, not only winning the tournament, but going undefeated in the tournaments, almost all of them.
That's not entirely true, but because the indoor sand that they beat Angel at, they dropped on the winner's side and came back through.
But pretty close. They didn't drop many matches.
Right. They exactly, and they were one of the only teams I think that, they took Angel down a few different times, and when Angel was playing with, frankly, someone at Angel's caliber that from outside the region who came into play, like they took down Angel and Chris Vaughn. They took down Angel and Jeff Samuels in a match.
Yeah.
So for me, and I don't think anyone else knocked out Angel when he was paired with somebody of that caliber.
I was gonna say, in terms of wins, I think he's aside from the grass run that Nolan had. In terms of individual sand wins,
we're a beach region.
We're a beach region. It is Eastern, I guess, volleyball.
Yeah,
the channel does cover some grass, but in terms of individual match wins, I would say that Nick, alongside Brett, had the best outside wins.
Right. So with the exception of Angel, in my mind, that was the team to beat in our region, and then separating between those two. So Nick had a really strong tournament where he played down in Wilmington with Angel, where they gave Adam Roberts and Annie Benish a run for their money, especially in the second set.
Oh yeah.
Brett brought a lot to the table as well, winning a Virginia Beach with Kevin Knight.
Carrying a Virginia Beach, but yes.
Carrying a Virginia. Yes. But at the end of the day, I know also like at ECSE, for example, I think most people watching them play would say that in that tournament, and there were a lot of circumstances leading up to that tournament that weren't favorable for Brett. Like I know he was on a work retreat where he was going hard till midnight every day, and leading up to that tournament. But like he was the weak link there. He's got kind of a disappointing finish down at Captain Bill's with someone who left our region for the Mountain West region, Eddie Mushikian. I think Eddie played 2 beach tournaments this year, which Captain Bill's for one, and then the Motherlode.
The Motherlode. Yeah.
So he's basically a Mountain West region player now. So Brett has a cup. Brett has kind of an asterisk on his resume where Nick doesn't.
Yeah.
So I put Nick at number 2, and then closely right behind him I put Brett at number 3.
Brett over Nolan.
Yes.
Really?
We were a beach region, my sir. My sir. We are a beach region.
Jeez.
Repeat
it again.
We are a beach region. and also frankly they were just that dominant in our region for that long.
I mean, they were dominant in Virginia Beach in our region for that long. What did they do outside of Virginia Beach?
I mean, they didn't. I don't think they played a tournament together outside.
They didn't play outside of Virginia Beach, so like there has to be some amount of consideration taken there. That if you're always playing against the same people on your home sand, like.
I mean, perhaps, but at the same time, there were a few of like the Captain Bill's events, for example, that weren't very well attended because people were at New Orleans, or a lot of the quote unquote bigger events that you might travel for were conflicting with like AVP next.
Sure.
So like, because like as a whole, I think there were some Captain Bill's tournaments this year that were still very strong, and then there were some other ones that were that were on the weaker side of things. I mean, I had a first and second at Captain Bill's this year.
I think I won a 5 or 6 team event there too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So.
I
also feel like the incentive to travel was a little bit less for those tournaments, and then frankly on top of that, I will vouch for the fact that traveling to Wilmington from Virginia Beach and vice versa is a very shitty drive. I don't enjoy that trip.
Yeah, no, I've heard that is quite the commitment to go from one to the other, and it's
because it's like on paper it's like 4 hours and 20 minutes, but there's just so much that can go wrong, and you have to commit pretty early whether you're going to go 17 or whether you're going to go 95.
Yeah.
And
I still don't put him over Nolan. Go ahead though.
Yeah. Whatever you say. So then so that was 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And then at number 4, I mean, I guess we'll put Nolan since Kevin's just hyping him up like nobody's business.
It just is what it is, man. He's a really strong player regionally, and
yeah, I mean, but we're talking about objective criteria. So here's the thing that everyone needs to understand is objective criteria, things that can be quantified and measured, not someone's opinion of their loving partner. And then the other thing and this one goes out to Ian Bicco, who had the nerve to comment on our video last time, something like, "Oh, I'm gonna use objective criteria," and proceeds to use subjective opinion. Here's what you need to know: is that my opinion is objective criteria and yours is not. So that's
whatever comes out of that mouth
exactly.
is
so
objective.
Whatever I have to say is objective, and Ian, you can take that to the bank. So with that being said, we're gonna put Nolan at number 4. So I was, to me it was just spoiler for now. I've got you at number 5.
Appreciate you.
And so for me, ranking the top 5 came down to, okay, well, Angel's at the top, and then it was like you and Nolan played a bunch of your tournaments together.
Yeah, so Nolan and I, and then Nick and Brett are just hard to separate.
Right.
Period. Because we were teams playing together.
Right. So this was also to be clear, like when I sat down and thought about it, I felt like there was a very clear person who was at number 6, and like after I separated number 6, which I'll talk about when I get to them, this was kind of the separation. I was like, debating Kevin and Nolan versus Nick and Brett, and I thought about one, Nick and Brett's dominance, whereas I don't feel like you and Nolan together had that stretch of dominance.
We didn't.
And that a lot of times, like, and I don't think you had it very many overwhelmingly strong like AVP Next performances. Not that you performed badly, but nothing that was like overwhelming. Nothing that convinced me like, hey, this is a performance that I'm not convinced that Nick and Brett wouldn't have gotten at this same tournament.
Here's the only caveat that I would put there, and this is probably Nolan and I's probably our best tournament together, was when we played Wapaka on it. Granted, it was really hard sand, which is very similar to that grass word you were saying earlier. We did take a 9th, and we had 2 or 3 match swings against Mike Bogue and Tim Brewster. It was a very, very good team. Especially for our level, it's a very, very good team to have a couple match swings against. One of which was a monster swing that Nolan had that Tim Brewster dug expertly and put away, which all props off to them. We lost to him. But a 5th at Wapaka, I think, would have been that like huge highlight. Like, if you're taking a 5th at Wapaka in an AVP Next school, that's like a season. Like, wow, that's a good mark for me.
Yeah,
considering Angel also took 5th at the
objectively, tournament. I do think if you had taken a 5th, I probably would have put y'all above them.
And we were a swing away. So but I do understand. Yeah, 9th, because it was a 17th in New Orleans against little known at the time Mike Grizel, and then so he ended up having a really good season. He got way better. And we didn't have a very good. The other AVP that we played, we didn't do all that well in.
And then also for Nolan, we kind of have a little bit of the, you make the argument for Nick and Brett not having a ton of finishes, and Nolan doesn't have a ton of finishes either.
Yeah.
So kind of in my mind, I was like, because I do think not having a ton of finishes is a valid point.
Sure.
But then I was sitting here and I was like, 2 through 4 all don't have a ton of finishes.
Yeah.
So like, do I discount all of them, or do I, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, I gotcha.
So it kind of that factor kind of got thrown out. And
just for the sake of objective reasoning, so Pottstown was not considered at all.
So
as a grass tournament.
So Pottstown was pseudo considered. It was like
sounds like pseudo objective criteria.
Yeah, it sounds like objective pseudo objective criteria, but because like on one hand it was a hell of a run. 2, it would mean that I would have to come up with a story for, Mark Monacari not, running out of time to Father Time or Big Tobacco.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, that's some serious high-level ball that they're doing to take a second at Pottstown. But then also kind of thinking, so like, I definitely was not going to discount that, and it was going to, kind of count for something, and it was... frankly, it was a big part of kind of in my mind putting Nolan in the top 5 versus dropping him out, honestly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because like without Pottstown, I might have dropped him out. For again, due to lack of finishes, and then kind of not having that like dominant stretch that Nick and Brett had, I might have dropped him out. But, you account for that, but at the same time, like, if there's a surface and, like, if there's a player that the grass surface and the additional, 4 feet each direction of court, like, benefit extremely, it's Nolan.
Yeah.
When you add his arm velocity combined with, like, he's I feel like physically he's right at the point where if he were jumping an inch or 2 higher, he would be able to hit a lot of those, like some of the extreme angles that he hits on grass in the sand.
Yeah.
I
can see it. Yeah.
That he like in deeper sand, like when you put him on like Wapaka sand, for example, all of a sudden he has that angle. Versus, so because I do think it's that much of a difference in what he brings to the table. At the same time, I wasn't gonna weight it crazy heavily.
Okay, that's fair. It's for strict top 5 beach rankings. I can see where you're coming from.
Right.
For me, I think.
Well, because then I'm like, what do I start counting Johnny Lutchin's grass triples or something? Like, what do I do with that?
I think
it's like, where do we draw the line?
I think if you're not asking me, but I'm gonna give it anyway. if my top 5 would be Angel, Nick and Nolan would be a toss-up depending on what you're weighting heavier in terms of Pottstown versus Nick's beach dominance and improvement just frankly this year. And then Brett would come quickly after them at technically this 3 spot, but 4 including the 2 players, and then I would round out at 5. So it's just a little shifting between 2 through 4, but
yeah. So then obviously we've talked 2 through 4, and I have Kevin at 5. And I'm gonna go ahead and mention that I've got Andrew McMurray at number 6.
Yeah, I think it has to, like in the video we might actually just say it's like a 5 with in parentheses 6 because like it is he in my head. If you asked me this in the video, like, and I hadn't thought about it at all, I would definitely say that Andrew is in the top 5. But it's just hard to make the true statistical argument.
Right.
You have to start making partner arguments, right? Like,
right. You have to exactly. You have to exactly.
Then that's part of the game.
Right. Because I could make a pretty decent argument that like Nick who was number 2 and Andrew at number 6 are so close in level of play to each other as defenders. You know, they're borderline indistinguishable from, you know, like an eye test perspective. But Nick has these results and Andrew doesn't. And like part of that, you know, was like Andrew was playing with Misha for like the first half of the season, and you know, and like they would get to those critical matches, you know, the semis and the finals, and teams were going after Misha, and you know, teams were coming out on the top consistently. Andrew then played a few with you and won some tournaments with Kevin. But kind of what separated it for me was that Andrew didn't have any wins with anybody else. So it was like every win that Andrew had, Kevin also had, but then Kevin also has all these other things that are adding to his resume. So then, like, in my mind, it was like, okay, well, based on, like, results and finishes, Kevin has to be above Andrew, and then kind of like with the Pottstown stuff and all that, it was like, well, Nolan kind of has to be above Kevin, and Brett and Nick have to be above Kevin and Nolan, so it was like it kind of worked its way backwards to like all these people have to be above Andrew, but if you were just like, is Andrew a top 5 player in our region, I'd say yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a very strange scenario where if you're looking at the top 5 players based on finishes from 2021, Andrew's actually number 6. If you're asking who are the top 5 skilled players in a vacuum, in isolation, not using finishes, but just like you're looking skill for skill, right, I would argue Andrew has to be in that top 5, but
for sure.
I mean, that still is kind of a semantic argument anyway. But anyway, so yeah,
right.
I see what you're saying here.
Yeah. So that was kind of where I got. So we've got our first honorable mention with Andrew McMurray coming in at number 6.
I'll pray for you to pick up. We train together. If Andrew watches this, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't think he will.
Fair enough.
I don't think he will. I think he probably already knows.
Oh God.
Yeah.
All
and
right.
then the rest of the honorable mentions in no particular order, because I don't really want to distinguish between. I haven't put that much thought into it, and like it and it's also once you start getting down here, it's like, okay, well, do I value someone who only showed up to a few tournaments and took a lot of like thirds, or do I value someone who kind of like peaked out at a few victories, got a fair amount of thirds, but also has some like 5ths and 7ths? Like, do I value, you know, like
how do you shuffle them? What are you putting your emphasis on?
Yeah,
I mean, let's start with Misha because he was Andrew's partner earlier in the year.
Right.
So had some great
Misha's
finishes.
Misha's getting an honorable mention for sure, and definitely as far as like, if we were gonna do like a stocks to buy, like Misha's probably the top stock to buy, I would say.
Misha Freistetter is in his 3rd. He started in 2019 playing open events. So 2019, 2020, this was his 3rd season on the beach, and he's already making finals at like very solid tournaments. I wouldn't say that they're. I don't ever like to use high level around here because high level is all relative to what you've seen play.
I mean, it's all relative.
Then nothing's objective.
Except for my opinion. Continue.
But no, so he's making seconds and thirds against all these guys they're in the top 5 videos. He's beaten, I think, all of us except for maybe, I don't know if he's ever beaten Angel.
No, he hasn't.
But I mean, he's.
I don't think he's beaten Andrew either.
That actually is kind of funny. Really good, really good player for being so new to the game. But yeah, stock's on the rise.
I don't think he's beaten Brett either.
Rosenmeyer?
Yeah.
I don't know if the two have even seen each other.
More
than once or twice.
Yeah, I mean they definitely saw each other in their runs for sure. We have that great the great clip of Nick Drucker illustrating how he scooped underneath the ball.
Oh yeah. That was good. That was a good video. Check that one out. The link won't be in the description because we don't know how to do that. But
yeah.
Who's next on the honorable mentions list?
Well, so we're gonna have from the honorable mention list last year we had Pat Cronshaw, and there were some ruthless Facebook comments about just you wait, next year's gonna be different.
They're coming back.
It's gonna be different. Just you wait. That list is gonna look very, very different. And here we are, and Pat's still on the honorable mentions list. He had the Brett Rosenmeyer refusal to travel, kind of combined with I don't think he won one this year.
I don't think he did either. He had a good.
He had a few strong Virginia Beach ones, but he just never quite got the dub.
I feel like he had a finish maybe really early in the year with Josue Castillo, but like in the New Jersey region. I want to say he had one. He might have won one with Josue over Chris Vaughn or something like that, in like very early on, but I'm not positive on that. But I know that in our region he had a second
and a third.
This is weird to say. He had a very Misha-esque year. He got bounced in the semis, a couple finals, but I don't think he won any. A couple great wins. He beat Angel in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Angel might have been playing with Caleb
Jennis, yeah.
And Dave Arnold was
correct
playing with Pat. So I mean, he had some good wins, but no, I see what you're coming from.
Yeah.
All the guys on the top five had top six had wins, and Pat didn't. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Objective criteria. using the Facebook claps.
Yeah, and then kind of continuing among the people that said, "Oh, we're going to see something very different this year." Bryce Earnsberger.
Oh God.
What?
How are you bringing that name up? There was no tournaments.
Yeah, so Bryce was another big component of this list is going to be very, very different next year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, on the Facebook on the Facebook comments.
So you're calling these names out. What's going to happen on the Facebook comments this time around if you're already calling people out?
I don't know, man. I mean, Bryce said that I think Bryce had every intention of coming back, but it wasn't in the cards, unfortunately.
Yeah, some circumstances, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce is actually looking really ready for this upcoming season. So
yeah, he's told me the same.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the same too. I know.
You've been back once, yeah.
All of a sudden, barnstorming out of nowhere. Guess who won the TVA Indoor Sand Men's Open KOB League? Bryce Earnsberger.
Oh man. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm happy to see him back. We always love more competitors in the region, so I guess we'll just wait to see when the first event happens.
Yeah.
I think he's already signed up, huh?
Might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like 2018, he and Dave Arnold won
9.
Like everything.
It was 8 or 9. Or
yeah, like everything they decided to go to, they won. So definitely.
That's another name. Dave Arnold, honorable mention.
Dave Arnold is fucking disqualified.
Oh.
Because.
Oh damn.
Because by the AVP America regional definitions, Maryland is part of the Northeast.
Oh, wow.
As brought to us by James Moyer, his one worthwhile contribution of the season.
Maryland is part of the Northeast. So all you Northeasterners, I guess you guys get Dave Arnold. That's a shame because he comes to all our tournaments. So he's...
Yeah. Actually, I take that back. James Moyer being drunk and heckling was amusing at tournaments, to say the least.
I thought the opposite. Go on.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll see James at a few more tournaments too. So that disqualifies Dave Arnold, and unfortunately for Cam Beans, it disqualifies him from the Midwest.
Which he claimed to be.
Yeah, who was another person saying we would say drastic changes for this year. And in defense of Cam had a pretty good season.
He did, yeah.
Cam had. I think I sent you this text out of nowhere and it made you very angry. I was like, objectively, Cam had a better season than you, and you got very upset. I was like, look at these AVP next finishes. Look at the AVP qualifier finishes. I was like, he's he's around ahead of you on like all these.
Yeah, no, he had a very good season. I guess we would say nationally speaking, he traveled to a lot of the big events, had very good finishes. Like in terms of, if you were just to look at him at the local events, you wouldn't expect him to make the finishes he did at the bigger events. But he's always been kind of a gamer. He shows up for big tournaments, and he had a good year. But yeah, he's not part of our region, so
I think part of it too is part of it can be partner fit too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So like
Cam and Fraser are a good team.
Yeah, like Cam and Fraser are a pretty good fit together, and like I don't know if Cam has a fit down here that's as good as that, with the only potential person being maybe Angel, but like Angel's a good fit for everyone. So,
yeah, no, I agree. I'm happy for him. He found his groove at some of the big events and had a good year for himself. But yeah, not from here.
So more honorable mentions. We talked to Andrew, we talked to Misha, we talked to Pat.
Yeah.
Number 4, everyone's favorite blocker at Captain Bill's tournaments. We have Brian Tillman.
The perpetual ref.
Yeah, the perpetual finals ref. I got to see Brian ref a lot of finals matches this year.
Just
good for the soul.
Happens chance.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he comes back strong in 2022. I don't know if he'll be the same player. I think he saw that he was going to have to play me at a tournament, and his stomach was literally in knots thinking about it.
You sent the man to the hospital, right?
Yeah. For those that don't know, Brian, I guess, showed up to play and ended up having like a twisted intestine and had to go to the hospital.
Literally went to the hospital.
Yeah. So in all seriousness, wishing him a speedy recovery, and hopefully he'll be back out there. Didn't mean to do you like that.
Well, you kind of did, but no, he from what I understand is healthy. I expect to see him in a couple finals next year as well. He pretty consistently comes out and does well. That makes sense. Good honorable mention
for sure. And then our last honorable mention.
Who is it? What pains you?
Fucking Larry, man. Like I went and looked at the finishes, and I'm like, I was feeling pretty good about my season because I won 4 like small tournaments. Won 4 small tournaments. I wasn't gonna get up here and be like, oh, like I deserve an honorable mention. I kind of used myself as like the benchmark, and I was like, if it's not immediately clear to me that, that you don't deserve to be on this list that I'm not on, I'm not putting you on it. So like, there's a lot of good players that I'm not giving honorable mentions to. It's not like last year where we're handing out participation trophies with honorable mentions to everyone else. Fucking snowflakes. So I was sitting here and I was like, I guess that's it. And then I looked at Larry's page, and I think he also had like 4 wins, but all of his wins were over like higher quality wins than the ones that I had. And he had a fucking AVP. Atlanta took a 29th.
Yeah, they had a decent little run there.
I was like, fuck, man. Like, I can't get around it. I got to put Larry on the honorable mentions.
No, he
especially because like I think I had a winning record against him for the year, but I don't think I ever played him when he was like with someone he was really there to. I mean, not that everyone he plays with he's not there to compete with, but like for example, he won a Blue Sky with Angel. I think he won another one with Angel. He had some strong finishes playing alongside Misha.
Yep.
But like I think I played him when he was playing with Mitch and when he was playing with like Matt Hazel.
No, yeah. My understanding with Larry is he took kind of 2 steps back, maybe in 2016 or 17 or 18, one of those seasons, and he really just decided to like run the tournaments and run the leagues, and I think he made it help start or continue to run a beach volleyball club. He just had a lot on his plate, and he really wasn't playing or training at all, and played very few tournaments, and so he was kind of a known quantity. You knew what you were going to get with him, and he got tired later in days. And then recently here, the Wilmington community has really been fostering a lot of kind of hype and generating a lot of enthusiasm.
Up and coming open players.
Yeah, Mitch, and then Giora built his own court, which they've termed the Temple. So it seems like Wilmington is kind of making a comeback, and with that comeback, Larry looked really, really good. I know he had a very active off season. He was kind of all about it, and it definitely showed. I mean, he was a great player. my understanding, it was kind of before I was out there, was he would win or be in the finals a lot of tournaments in the 2013, 14, 15 range, and so he kind of has returned to that old form where he's a big 6'7" guy that has good hands and pretty good ball control and pretty good serve, and so I think he's spot on. Like he had a very good season this year.
Yeah.
I know
as much as it pains me, because I was sitting here and I'm like Larry's one of the guys that I go into a lot of tournaments and I'm like, I feel like this matchup is a toss up.
Yeah.
You know, because he's gotten the better of me a fair share, and I've gotten the better of him a fair share, and a lot of that, you know, being during that time, you know, when you felt like you'd taken a step back. And I looked at his report card and I was like, fuck, damn it.
Got to learn how to pick up partners.
Yeah.
Kidding. No, Larry had a good season and played with some good guys and had some great finishes, and so I think that's a perfect fifth honorable mention.
Yeah, so that rounds out our honorable mentions.
I guess we should probably mention Mark Mark Monacari.
Yeah.
Moved to New Mexico.
I think
didn't play many beach events at all. He became a grass king.
Yeah. I was gonna say Mark did what, you know, every great middle-aged strategist does, which was, you know, big tobacco caught up to him, and what did he do? He pivoted. He pivoted from tobacco to grass.
Oh man, he was Nolan's partner when they took a second at Pottstown, so he definitely deserves a mention in the video.
I was gonna say, I think that's how the announcers put it, right? They're like Nolan and Nolan's partner.
Yeah, I did hear that. Mark's been playing grass at Pottstown specifically way longer than Nolan has.
Yeah.
And has made some amazing runs at Pottstown without Nolan, but
right. And the announcer was like Nolan and Nolan's partner.
He was Nolan's partner. No, I'm sad to see him go from the beach community around here. He's been a long-time staple, provides a ton of commentary, and he's been playing all over the country for a long time, but happy to see him happy. And from my understanding, New Mexico is actually playing more in New Mexico than he was in Charlotte. They have 2 indoor facilities that they can play all year round, and those guys apparently want to play all the time, so happy for him, but yeah, I just want to mention him.
He was telling me that you know, he came in and they were like, wow, it's really great to have. I don't think we've, you know, really had an influx of like a beach player in this area.
Oh my god.
For those who don't know, Ben Ilfeld is from New Mexico.
So Ben Ilfeld's in our region and came in, and then Mark moved back to New Mexico, so they know all the same people, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so who do you have questions about that didn't receive an honorable mention? Don't hold back.
Don't hold back. No, I mean, I think the 2 guys that show up to a good number of tournaments this year, but I kind of understand, are like Matt Helmick and Brian Dirks. Neither of them won a tournament this year, and they normally will come out and win, a Blue Sky here, or Virginia Beach tournament there, but
yeah. I mean, I think both of them. So, like, for example, I played a couple with Brian, and you know, we really went out and were competing pretty hard and gave you everything you could handle at Myrtle Beach.
Yep.
But I also think a lot of times Brian is playing with a lot of different people.
Yeah, he is.
He's playing with a lot of different up and comers.
Yeah.
I think Brian's kind of stepped into a role of like I think he really enjoys playing with up and coming guys and giving them that shot, and I think it shows in his partner selection. But then I think also, you know, when you look at his finishes, it's just not quite there. You know, to make a case as like a top 5 or an honorable mention, but you know, still a very very good player in his own right.
I agree. You know, I think
still the trash talker of the year in the Atlantic region.
Yeah, definitely the dad trash talker.
Yeah.
I think a number of people may be scratching their heads because I think Mitch kind of had a breakout season for his own right. Like compared to what he's done in the past, Mitch had some really nice wins in terms of individual matches. Obviously, if you've looked at his Instagram, you can find a massive amount of highlight plays. Yeah. Because he does post a lot of big swings and big digs.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch had a really good season.
Yeah.
You know, and he had some high quality wins too. But I don't know if I don't believe he had any tournament wins.
I don't think so.
And kind of when I was, you know, when I was kind of differentiating between like who's in, I decided that I didn't deserve an honorable mention. Like pretty early on, I decided that's basically where I was going to draw the line.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, I don't think Mitch had like a better season than I did, and like he had like maybe one more like high quality win than I did, but then I had him in our head to head matchup. So then I was sitting there and I was like, Mitch is at my level right now. So,
but have you beaten Taylor Crabb?
I mean, I haven't played Taylor Crabb.
I
did beat Nick Lucena though.
Fair enough. In terms of accolades, Nick actually is higher.
It's true. It's true.
Ergo, you were higher than Mitch.
I didn't say I was higher than Mitch. I just said that Mitch was not higher than me.
No, that's fair.
But also, I'm higher than Mitch.
No, Mitch has had a really, really good season this season. You know, you look at the honorable mentions list, and maybe everybody aside from Misha has tournament wins on that list.
Misha got a win.
Did he? Oh, he did.
Daddy.
He did. He did. You guys won a small event. No, that's funny.
Yeah. Wait,
yeah.
That was the event that. So we won that event when Tillman forfeited, and we beat Mitch in the final.
Oh, there you go.
Beat Mitch twice on the day.
There you go. So yeah, he's one that, at a minimum, I would look to be on the honorable mention list next year. If not,
if we expand the list, sure.
No, he's had a rising stock for a while, and he had a very, very good 2021. But I do understand.
Sure.
I do understand the rationale.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think he got a lot better. I understand why not on the honorable mention, but Josh Lanier had some good finishes. Won his most notable finish alongside Mitch.
Myrtle Beach Open.
No, I think he had a Captain Bill's, like a big Captain Bill's, like 20-something teams that he made like a semifinal or something. He beat Dirks and Eddie.
That was with me.
Oh, that was with you?
Yeah.
Okay, so he had a Myrtle Beach Open finish that was good, maybe a fifth.
Seventh.
Seventh with Mitch, and then he had a couple good Captain Bills. But it's a similar situation to Mitch, where if you looked at the difference between his 2020 and 2021 seasons, there's a really big difference in terms of his finishes and the quality of his tournaments. But it's not enough to. I mean, his objective finishes compared to the other players, he's not on the honorable mentions.
Right.
Is there anybody else you can think of?
I'm gonna be honest. I was hoping you would just ask names, and I would just trash people.
No, I don't think there's. I was thinking about it by region, right? So you have Virginia Beach, and it's hard to even think about Virginia Beach because it's only Brett and Nick that just dominated everything.
I mean, Nick's from Richmond, so let's not get it twisted. But
Virginia Beach is where he plays. So I mean, there's not anybody else that I really want to mention.
Yeah, because I mean, like, a lot of the Virginia Beach guys don't really travel,
right?
And then you're talking about finishes at tournaments, and it's like, okay, well, Brett doesn't travel and wins. Pat doesn't travel and loses to Brett, and then and then the other guys, don't travel and don't finish super high like that. Guys can play obviously, but
I mean, Luke's a good example.
Yeah, like Luke's a good example. Doesn't travel
he can
that
play.
much
he wins some good matches, but he's not beating Pat or Brett. So
right, right. And then you have Cortland as well, who had flashes of some really, really strong performances, but didn't really travel and didn't really have like that marquee performance. He's kind of this just clicked in my head, by the way. Why Cam and Cortland are so good together? They're both gamers.
Oh, they step up for big stuff.
Like Cortland at times gets beat by people he shouldn't.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you look on the court and like your perception, at least like your perception sometimes of like if you based your perception of Cortland off of like, oh well, he recently lost to that person, right? And then all of a sudden you look out there and he's going toe to toe with some pretty high level guys.
Yeah.
And it's like all the stuff is kind of there. And Cortland's also been dealing with a bit of an injury too, so like he hasn't even been at 100% either.
Yeah. We didn't really have anybody travel to our region much this year on like 2020, so there's not really anybody to mention there. I mean, we had Jeff win a number of tournaments out our way, normally playing with Angel.
Yeah.
Obviously, super impressive player. He's not from here or around here much at all, so he's not on the list, but I didn't mention him. And then in Wilmington, it's Angel, Larry, Mitch. I guess Marcus Santos plays around there, but doesn't play many tournaments. But
yeah, I've never even met Marcus.
Right. And Myrtle Beach is just kind of Dirks.
Yeah.
So.
No Bodie.
Love Bodie. He didn't come out too much this year.
Yeah.
And then obviously Adam Roberts for a couple months of the year plays out of Myrtle Beach, but
we also don't consider him local.
Yeah, right. He just isn't in enough local things.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that's 40 minutes. I'm surprised if anyone made it here, but you want to run the list top to bottom and then just mention the 5 honorable mentions in any order you want.
Wait, do I want to what?
Run through the list top to bottom.
Sure. So at 1 we had Angel, 2 we had Nick, 3 we had Brett, 4 we had Nolan, 5 we had Kevin.
In parentheses 6, kind of above the other honorable mentions.
We had Andrew, and then 7 through 10 in no particular order: Pat, Misha, Tillman, and Larry.
All blockers.
Yes. Yes.
Actually, there's kind of like a weird asterisk by that, right? Like,
yeah.
Somehow all blockers ended up being the honorable mentions, but.
Well, we also don't have. There's not many defenders in the top 5 either.
That's kind of true. Yeah, Nolan and I would be considered.
Yeah, I would call both of y'all tweeners.
Yeah.
I mean, Brett and Nick play like tweeners.
Yeah. Brett particularly would be a tweener. Nick is more of a defender, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
No, that makes sense. Angel might be the one true.
Right, Angel's the true defender because he can convince high-level blockers to travel to our region to play with him.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, Andrew can split block, but spent a lot of his time as a defender.
Yeah, similar to Nick. He's a bit too short to block, but jumps well enough to do it.
Yeah, jumps well enough to split block. Yeah.
No, I gotcha. All right. Well, I've been looking forward to this video, and not only me, but I had people as far away as St. Louis and actually Wisconsin that actually out of the blue, I didn't bring it up at all, had mentioned like, hey, you guys going to do a recap video? I met enough people at Alpaca where there's some random people that they not only watch the matches, sometimes they watch the breakdowns, which is pretty funny to me. Yeah. So I'm really happy that we did this. You can tell it's January because my skin color is the same color of the wall. No, I just had to make that. So I'm really, really happy. I'm hoping that some of the other regions, either Ohio or Louisiana or both, might do one of these. They can get pretty spicy, and I just think it'll be cool in a couple of years to look back and just see who the guys were playing in each one of the regions. So
yeah. And before we sign off, one last thing. If you've got some video ideas that you'd like to see us do, like if you'd like to see us, for example, because we've had a few. I've had a few ideas of stuff we could talk about, kind of floating around in my head. We could do like stocks to buy, stocks to sell. We could, if you wanted to, if you gave me a couple people to like directly compare.
Like a breakdown.
Yeah, like if you wanted me to break down like Nick versus Andrew, skill by skill, who do I think's better at what, blah blah blah. I'd be down to do that. I'd be down to do that with anybody. You can give me, as long as I've seen
this mind will work it out.
Yeah, as long as I've seen them at least like 2 AVP America tournaments, I'd be down to do a little something like that. So anything I just mentioned, or if you have any other ideas, shoot us a message. I'm sure we can make it happen.
Yeah, this has been fun, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys all watching for another year. This is just something we do in our spare time because we enjoy it. And hopefully 2022 will be as much or more fun.
Yeah. Oh, 2 more recaps. People I want to mention. Phil Slocum played his token 1 tournament a year. Phil and Matt played their token 1 tournament a year, which was always good to see.
Yeah.
And then I actually wanted to give Steve Keffer an award for making Kevin feel bad about his calf game.
That
dude has enormous calves.
Just giant calves.
Yeah.
Maybe calves the size of quads.
Yeah.
Just huge calves. No, that's funny.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for watching, guys. Until next time.